I saw, yeah, once again, welcome everyone. And I saw your note as well, Mike. Yep. Need to start recording. Okay, and once again, welcome to the front ends call. We have three people on the agenda. And first up, Mike, we have you with some announcements and some pull requests you want to look at.
Okay, let's get started. So JupyterLab 4.1 and Jupyter Collaboration 4.02 have been released yesterday. These are mostly bug fixes. Some are quite significant, like in the non-windowing mode, so not the default one, but one which is available as a fallback. Undo, redo were not working. And thanks to a larger community effort, some people helped with debugging, some people helped with, and others with review. We now found a way to solve this cleanly by actually patching Jupyter Notebook so that the undo manager is always available when creating a new cell immediately without need to do any tricks or wait for it. With that release, following Jeremy's suggestion, we will be branching off with the main branch on JupyterLab now tracking for 4.5, and I created 4.4.x branch for backports. I still need to open a pull request to reconfigure the branches, but that should be up soon this week. Now, there is a couple of pull requests which are either reviewed or pending a review that I wanted some additional eyes on, and right now I feel pretty comfortable merging those into 4.5 branch. However, I'm not sure if we should merge them without additional testing or whether we force them.
And Mike, you're breaking up a little bit for me.
Sure. Okay. Shall we maybe go to Andre? I will try to fix that on my end.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. Andre, you had a pull request you want to review?
Yeah, I can go next. I hope you guys can hear me well, because I couldn't hear Mike at all, and as far as I can understand, Dan could hear Mike a little bit. So maybe there are some connection problems on my end as well. But anyway, if you can hear me, I wanted to talk about two things. So first of them, I actually already got a review for that PR. So there is a newly merged PR in Jupyter Chat that minimally extends user models. I can actually share my screen. Let me do that. Currently, before this PR was merged, you could only delete messages that you were an owner of. And potentially you probably we would want all users to allow to delete both messages, for example, like Slack does it, right? So I edited the user models, adding an optional bot boolean, and then I also edited the front end if user can delete this message logic. So if messages sender is a bot, then any user can delete that message. And tangent question that I actually wanted to ask about this, other than inform you, is do you think this call or Jupyter AI call is more appropriate place to talk about Jupyter chat things? Maybe you already had this discussion, for example. if anyone has any opinions or participates in Jupyter AI calls, we'll be happy to hear your opinion.
I just don't think that many people worked on this enough to have an opinion, and Jupyter AI's call seemed really sparsely attended earlier. I do know, because so much of this has a backend component, that at least, some of the people who work on it do go to server calls, but really I'm not sure whose opinion you need here.
I mean, at least based on the fact that it seems no people who usually attend those calls are here, this might not be the
Yeah.
most accurate place to get feedback. So it is already a feedback in of itself. So yeah, thank you for
one thing, Andrew, I think we've been talking about trying to do is to get the server and kernel's call and this call maybe either to merge or occasionally merge or something, like to do more crossover, because it seems like we should be talking to each other, and it also seems like it would build more of a critical mass. Because, if you come to a call, right, you wait your turn, you talk about something, and it turns out that the answer is, sorry, go to another call, that's not really a good use of time, and it's not really a good experience.
Yeah, makes sense. Also, as an idea, maybe it could, if not everyone are cool with doing it like all the time, maybe it could be like every first Wednesday or Thursday of the month or something like that. But I think there is some value in having everyone in the same room and talking to each other, and yeah, maybe also other people coming and asking questions. Okay, then I think it's kind of nice to wrap that topic, unless there is anything else.
If we wanted to make a change like that, like every first call of the month is a joint call or something, how would we do that?
I think we should get the temperature from all the relevant people. So here, probably then the next thing that would happen is, if the people on both this call and that call want at least one time, a month or whatever, some subset of their calls to be together, then I think it really just involves the two sub projects, or I guess the four sub projects, to each just put an issue in their team compass and do a vote to say we're happy to do this. Like, we all acknowledge that, this is good, or something like that. But first, let's have a couple of calls where we ask the people, because there's turnover in who comes to each call, what they think, and let them weigh in, and then turn that into a proposal that we all vote on.
Is anyone willing to take on making that happen?
I think he's not here, and speaking for somebody else to do something is a little bit silly. But anyway, Zach has definitely expressed interest in making this happen, because he goes to a lot of calls and he doesn't want to. And it's the case that at different times the calls have had a different number of people in them, and it made more sense because of how much we wanted to cover in each meeting, that we couldn't do it all in one group call, but now we might be able to again. So yeah, I think Zach is interested in sort of championing this, but really I guess what we can do is today we can capture in the notes whether we have consensus that like we want to explore this, and then tomorrow in the server call, I'll make the same ask of them. So what do you guys think? Rosie, I think you unmuted for a second and then you muted again, so go for it.
I guess this I wanted to make a comment, but I think maybe it's a slightly adjacent, not entirely directly related, because this would be like two joint calls entirely. So maybe the conversations would be more, I guess, more evenly distributed. But my comment was kind of like around the because the mention of the first meeting of the month, I wanted to bring up like it's kind of already taken up by accessibility, but I think because there's no more like a focus on that, it kind of doesn't actually happen, I guess, or I don't know. Yeah, but I guess my one worry would be that it would kind of just one of the topics might be forgotten along the way, or something along those lines.
That's a good point. If we've said we're going to do accessibility the first meeting of the month, then we should not use that one as a joint call, right? So I guess.
Yeah, I think even when accessibility is not getting a lot of airtime these days because folks aren't bringing topics, I think we still want to keep that space for the possibility of topics arising for the first of the month.
Okay, so what if the proposal was today's the last meeting of the month that we're gonna have one next week, right? What if the proposal was the last meeting of the month is this way or something like that? So it's like unambiguous that the first and the last have like specific things going on that are a little bit different, and that doesn't fill up a valuable resource that might, otherwise be difficult to get those issues some visibility. Okay, so then let me rephrase the question. Do we think that we're happy inviting the Jupyter server and kernel subprojects to our last call of the month? Or conversely, canceling our last call of the month and going to theirs, right? Something like that. Because theirs is on Thursday, an hour earlier, so it's not the same exact time. It might be difficult for people, but that's also like, we have to think about what, like if they were having this conversation, what would they be pitching? Yeah, Mike.
So I think we saw quite a number of attempts to consolidate things. First, we merged Notebook and JupyterLab calls and called that Frontends. Then we merged Accessibility. If we are going to also include server, I am afraid that we are potentially exacerbating a problem, which is finding the right time for people to meet and discuss things rather than actually improving the situation. And something which is maybe not obvious is that this time it actually works very well for me in my time zone, but it might be a very bad time for other folks. So by bringing everyone into this specific time, I'm not sure if this is the right solution. If we need more coordination to get right people who are interested in specific topics into a room, virtual room, maybe a way there is to gather like an agenda beforehand, and if someone wants to discuss a specific topic, to have a way to easily announce it without overwhelming others. I don't know, like this is something which a coordinator at a Jupyter level across sub-projects could help with, or just having an expectation that if you want to get specific topic discussed, send a message on what are we using now? Is it Zulip? and they're having a specific channel there for interested people to know and coordinate what times work out. I'm not saying that this is a bad idea to invite the server and kernel's call, but then we are only left with documentation, working group, community building group, and only one sub-project which has meetings will not be in this Wednesday meetings, which is Jupyter Hub. So it's like, I have conflicting feelings there.
Yeah, so Jupyter Hub doesn't meet weekly. That's one thing. And I think the impetus behind this idea from the way Zach initially pitched it was maybe there should be a Jupyter contributors call and not all of the different ones, but that seemed unachievable because there's too much, right? But like that's sort of the ideal, was just like get all of, like, pretend it's 2015 or something, but we might have too many people going to too many calls to sustain that. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not making a strong case for anything myself. I think I've seen both this call and the Jupyter Server and kernels call get smaller. And that's made me wonder how sustainable they are in the way they're currently structured, right? Like there's a week full of Jupyter meetings, and I wonder if that's still how we should do things, but I don't have a strong prescription.
Could it be worth trying the last meeting of the month invite next week? See how it goes. See if it, produces helpful like outcomes. And then reassess. We'll have a whole month to decide if we want to do it again.
That sounds, I'm okay with this. Does anyone have an objection, I guess?
Okay, it sounds like we have rough consensus that we can propose that for next week.
Yeah, it can be like a one-off to just even have the conversation, maybe. Like whoever wants from that call to come to our call next week, and let's talk about, is there enough overlap in our conversations? Is there enough interest? Is there enough compatibility of people's schedules, etc.? And okay, so I'll write an issue on the Jupyter server Team Compass, and I will write it as a representative of both Jupyter Frontends and Jupyter Accessibility, who have their calls here. And I'll say, we had this conversation, and we proposed next week to have an in-person conversation about whether we should do this more regularly or not. And if they can't, they can at least comment on that issue, and we can follow up there.
This is a little broader, but the discussion of, sort of timing accessibility, and if we're clustering meetings together at the same times on the same days, perhaps we're just completely blocking folks who have, a big Wednesday call that they can't get out of every week. I wonder at what point it may be helpful to survey the community about what times work for them, and include in that survey questions about, like, do you already regularly attend Jupyter calls? And if the timing worked well for you, would you expect to regularly attend Jupyter calls?
I believe Jupyter Hub oscillates the times of the meetings so that people from different time zones can join.
Yeah, they do. They try to cover the fact that we live on a sphere. Sorry, I didn't hijack your issue there, Andrew, but this wasn't really what you were asking about.
Oh, that's a great discussion, and I'm happy we had it. So there was another bullet point that I wanted to discuss. If there are no more discussion points for the meeting, and this is this issue that is just sent to the chat. Let me share my screen. Show it to you. Yeah, this one is pretty straightforward. So the explanatory, right? JupyterLab 4.4 blog post. So as you know, it was released in April. Previously, we've discussed that we could make a blog post to like promote this and inform people about JupyterLab 4.4 release. It was mentioned that good first step would be creating a Google Doc. So I created an Google Doc. It's empty. I haven't filled it at all. Have not kind of circled back to this at all, but wanted to surface this. Yeah, anyone with a link could edit it. I know there was a video by Jeremy giving an overview of the new features. I could also try using LLM to like generate some base, which we could then edit. Yeah, so feel free to help editing it if you would like to. So yeah, thank you. That's it for me. I see Mike has a raised hand.
Any objections to retitling it to JupyterLab 4.4 and Notebook 7.4 and making it cover both?
Yeah, no objections. Should I rename it, or would you like to edit the title?
Done.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andre. Mike, do we want to head back to you?
Oh, and sorry, Mike. I thought you said done, and then I edited the issue. Oh, I see. You edited the doc name. Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay. Yeah. So let me actually share my screen. That will be probably more interactive, assuming that my computer doesn't crash on it. Okay. So I wanted to highlight a few pull requests. One is a fix for SVG elements being potentially announced by some screen readers because there was no ARIA hidden attribute on them. Now this fix is pretty clever because it simply sets ARIA hidden on every lab icon which does not contain a title. Now I don't think we have many icons which do have title set, which maybe is problematic. However, when looking in depth at all the icons that we have, majority of those already are wrapped in something which does contain either a title or ARIA label. So this is like toolbar icons, sidebar icons, kernel titles, basically everything. So we are good to hide that from screen readers. Now there are some exceptions, and this is either a tiny thing like the files, browser, icons. They do convey some extra information about the file type, which is not included in the title. But I am not sure if it is actually relevant when screening the list of files in the browser. So I wouldn't block this PR on it. A larger item is that when there is this check on options which are toggled, this is not announced to the screen readers in any way. And my question is, like, I think we can merge this PR into 4.5. I'm not sure if we should backport it, just because we do not have a way to convey this information just yet. And also, like, any objections against having area hidden always set if title is not provided. Would there be any reason to have neither the title nor area hidden attribute set? I will leave you all to think about that if there is no immediate comments, and move to the next one, which is about reordering how lab extension paths and extra lab extension paths are composed. And this is a small, again, one-line change. I think it's all good, and we'll plan to merge it into 4.5, so our main branch soon. But if someone was using this attribute a lot and they think that this is not a best idea for whatever reason, please do comment on that PR. I think this is pretty niche, but that's why I'm highlighting it in this call. Okay. Sorry, I just noticed I wasn't sending the PRs in the chat, so I will catch up on this and move to the third one, which I think I already approved. And this is adding lots of grid and flexbox attributes to the sanitizer, so that when typing in Markdown, you can actually use those. It's pretty extensive. I think, like, with pull requests like that, it is time consuming to review them for, like, to these new regular expressions. Are they not introducing any security vulnerabilities? And yeah, if you are not very familiar, unfortunately, CSS can also lead to security implications if you are, like, allowing any CSS. I think this is fine. My concern would be mostly about performance, but again, because it touches the security, if anyone would like to have another look at it, I would highly appreciate that. And otherwise, I think we will, even though it's a bug fix, as is the area hidden thing, I wouldn't be backporting it and only merge it into 4.5. Don't see any comments, questions. So let me move to the last one, which is about expanding.
The expressions that are being checked for these CSS attributes, were they handwritten by the author? Do they come from somewhere?
Yes, they are handwritten by the author.
So this
in
the
the
first
sense that
contribution this person has made to JupyterLab, and it's a security one, and it's dense, weird to parse expressions. That's difficult to review.
That's why I'm asking for help. Now, I'm pretty confident, like, you can go to the MDN formal syntax of CSS and compare them one to one, and mostly, like, this is ignoring some very extreme edge cases where much harder regular expressions would be needed, but this is digestible. And again, I do not believe there is any security issue introduced by this PR. Most likely there might be performance issues just because of how many new expressions we are scanning. But if you know regex and could have a look, like, read through that just as a sanity check, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
I'll add Mike. I would
The
like to
Reader's
take a look
checker.
at this. Oh, as well. And see if I can help out.
So Nick is asking whether we added Reader's checker. Now, I'm afraid that the Reader's checker would not catch this, because the way this huge regular expression is composed is like it starts with some primitives, like this is an integer, this is a positive integer, and then it gradually combines them to create not one huge regular expression, but one regular expression for each CSS attribute that could be expected. So for grid, that is actually a huge expression because the grid syntax is pretty complex. And then this is handled by is it HTML sanitize, the library which does that? Sanitize HTML.
I don't know. Can we build them offline? So I mean, like, it seems like that wouldn't pass the redos checker. It's difficult to write perfect stuff. Can we generate them? It feels like it would need like a property-based testing approach or something, because so you miss something, and then why did you do anything? You know, it's very much a cat and mouse part of the security game. I don't know. I will probably not review that.
So I think like if we are not confident with any part of these expressions, saying that let's remove that edge case, let's just constrain that to some part of the CSS syntax, CSS properties, that's fine too. I also understand where this person is coming from, because grid and flexbox are very useful nowadays, and people are no longer using float to align the tables. Okay, let me move to the final one, which is again one line change, but with some potential implications. This is just adding height 100%, and that is like I think this is reasonable, but if we could test it with more widget libraries, I think that would be super useful. Did I already send it? Yeah, I already sent it. So these are the pull requests I wanted to highlight. And the final question is about NB Classic. Does anyone know if the tests on CI on NB Classic are known to be flaky, or in this PR, which improves saves us, is it just that it actually introduced some flakiness?
So, Rosie, I'm not sure if you have any thoughts. I know we had some challenges with some tests being flaky with like Tornado, but I think the last few PRs we made have been pretty solid. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts there, Rosie?
Yeah, sorry, I lost the Zoom window. Yeah, I think there were some updates to in the last few months, and I think the tests have been doing a lot better and more consistently passing. But I pulled up the PR now. I think I think that the playwright tests right now that are failing are it is I think it is or actually yeah, so I think I had to take a look. It looks like sometimes the out of all, if I were to point to one set of tests that are flaky, it would be like in the CI, it would be definitely the playwright test. Although they have been consistently passing, I think I'm hesitant to say that it is directly as a result of this PR a little bit. maybe I'd like to take a closer look, but from the last time I think that I took a look, it was almost entirely green, so I'm not sure. I think currently that is the case as well.
Yeah, it is absolutely green on the main branch. And the thing is that the test which is failing has nothing to do with changes in this pull request, or it appears so. Like one of the runs is test find and replace. Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't be asking this question. So
Right.
it is not entirely obvious. Like maybe we can poke at it or try to rerun the tests on main, like a pull request which does nothing else.
Okay, yeah, maybe I could do that. I just pinged the test, those two failing tests in the PR once more, and then I could maybe open up a different PR. I mean, I do have some updates that I wanted to make actually. So I actually I think I messaged Jeremy about this. There are a few updates left for MB Classic to use the releaser, but the one that it's kind of blocking is the API or the secret for the GitHub app, which I'm not able to add into the release environment. So I have some PRs that I'm going to be open that are entirely separate to this, so I could keep an eye on the tests there. Yeah, I guess I could also take this opportunity to mention it to other people. If anyone else, I think I saw in the releases channel in Zillup that Jeremy has done this before, but if anyone else has access, I would be greatly appreciated. MB Classic doesn't have the environment set up for that yet. There is an environment, but it's missing the secret, the releaser bot secret. And yeah, I think that's the final step that we would need from someone that has access to the Jupyter org.
So is it using the Jupyter? Would it be using the JupyterLab bot, or is there a separate bot for Notebook?
I believe, I'm not sure if it's the same.
No, wait, sorry. It doesn't matter. I think I have access to both of these, so I could set up the token, but I do not have access to like admin access on MB Classic. So if you could add me on MB Classic, I can set it up. You could confirm, and I will remove myself. Just I don't need permissions, admin permissions there.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. I will do that right now.
Rosio, maybe another thing we could do if you're already making a separate change is we could add a workflow dispatch to the GitHub Actions, which would allow someone to manually kick off a GitHub action without a PR or pushing to main.
Oh yeah,
which seems like it'd be useful for this.
Yeah. Thanks. I will look into modifying that too.
I can talk to you about that offline if you want as well. Okay, maybe we could all work together to get this PR merged, Mike.
Yep. Thank you.
I just made that change, Mike, so you should be admin in MB Classic.
Okay. We'll set it up today or tomorrow.
Right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, anything else about any of Mike's topics before we move on? All right, Darian, I think you're second to last up. I see Andre had another topic as well, which is good. So JupyterLab desktop conversion.
Yeah. So
or
we had a conversation last week about whether we want to keep it. What should we do? We don't have the current resources to support it, and this week, so the Jupyter Foundation currently is meeting once a week, but every other week. We are meeting as two subcommittees, basically, so that we don't have to have the entire group doing all the things together. And one of those subcommittees is about how to disperse funds into the community and how to get some things done. And so Mike and Mehmet both gave some feedback about what kind of resources we need and how much work we think it'll take. And I think that's a really good place for the foundation to start with. Okay, how are we going to resolve this? And I think what will happen next is on Friday, we'll have that conversation saying, here's what the community is, or rather Frontends is saying they need to support this thing. And how do we make it happen? Is this a thing that we want? How do we create the process for doing this? Like, is it they come to us with a proposal? Is it we pair up, so members like I'm in a weird position here, right? Because I'm both in the foundation and in Frontends, but I think one answer is we pair up someone from Frontends and someone from the foundation, write an actual short proposal, and then they vote on it and fund it or make some other suggestion. So I just wanted to tell the people on this call that we'll be discussing it on the foundation call on Friday, and I will get back to you on what comes out of that, whether I update the issue or bring it to this call. Yeah, that's it. No real new information other than if you're following the conversation, please check out the thread. There's more stuff in it than there was last week, and also stay tuned. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's just, I haven't had a conversation yet, so I don't have super concrete answers. Great, thank you.
Any comments about that? Anyone?
Thank you for driving the process, both you and Mike and Mehmet. I think it's a really important thing to do. Thank you.
Okay. Andre, you had one more topic?
Yes. So I just sent a link to the issue into the chat. It's a 4.5 release plan issue created by Jeremy. Like an issue to track the features for the 4.5 and the release plan. I commented on this issue, and Mike also already commented on this issue. So I just wanted to kind of surface this issue again and invite everyone to participate in the discussion. I sent a comment with some scrolling issues. Yeah, just please participate and contribute, and wanted to surface it. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for me.
So one suggestion that I would make is maybe one of these calls we could take half an hour or a little bit more to just go through the open pull requests and see what features are proposed and what we would need to do to merge them into 4.5 branch.
Hey, Mike, we lost your audio again.
I see that I'm breaking up. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, basically, maybe one day we can go through the PR queues, and before writing code with new features, just have a look at what features are pending there, and maybe revive work on some of those, or just closing them out if they are no longer relevant. And that would be some baseline for planning 4.5. maybe.
Okay, sounds like a good topic for a future meeting. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, does anyone else have any other topics before we stop the recording?